Hello, this is Courtney with C. Clark Creative. Thanks for joining me. Today I have a super cute card all centered around the Fun in Sun stamp and die set from Waffle Flower. I've got the dies here, I've got the stamps, and what I do is I just stamp on card panels and I take them with me when my kids have things going on and I'm sitting and waiting in the car. I have a little clipboard and a little container for my Copic markers and I color. So eventually I end up with all these panels of colored images that all I have to do is die cut and create a card. So this is what we're doing today. Starting off with a background panel, it's Gina K Ocean Mist, that's my sky. And then I have some blue denim cardstock, that is my waves. And then Kraft, which is going to be my beach. So I have this scallop die that I made the waves, just cut it upside down. And that is the Stamp Market scallop border dies. I have two here, you're going to see in a minute. I decide to add a third just because the odd numbers always look better. And I needed to move it around a little bit. Get a third one in there. On this, the beach die is from Fawn Slimline stitched Hillside borders, and I'm showing you that some of these die cuts have stitching, some of them don't. I thought that they all looked just fine together. This is my favorite things stitched clouds, which I think aren't available anymore, which is a big bummer because I think they're adorable. They cut inside the cloud and outside, so you can use the negative space or the cloud. That's where I'm showing you. I'm going to add that third wave. Kind of figuring out how much room I need. I decided I didn't need as much ocean as I needed sky. So cut that third ocean, kind of lining everything up. I'm going to trim these extra pieces off in a little bit, but I'm going to do a little bit of ink blending first, just kind of orienting myself, seeing how everything's going to fit, if that's going to work or not. I'm going to throw a couple images on here just to kind of start and get an idea on placement that I might like. These die cuts are so fun. They remind me of playing with paper dolls when I was young. They're just, the Copic coloring so bright and colorful. They're just fun. That's all I can say about it. So for the ink blending, for the ocean, I'm going to add some foam on these waves using a mini blending tool and just going really light at the peaks of these waves. And I'm going to bring down that color just a little bit. I don't want to totally obscure that blue, and these are going to overlap, so I'm not too worried about getting a completely smooth blend. I just want to get some of the color on there, kind of trying it out, seeing how it looks. We're going good. We're going to keep moving with this. So I blend it down a little bit, not worrying too much again on getting a really good blend because I want it kind of irregular. That's the ocean. For the beach, I've just got Kraft ink on Kraft paper, so it's gonna look darker than it is when the ink is wet, but as it dries it's barely noticeable, but it does add just enough to bring a little bit of dimension rather than just a flat colored panel. Now the clouds, I'm adding this denim blue, which is a dark blue, but I didn't like how the lighter blues looked on it. So what I do is I just get a little bit of ink on my sponge dauber and then sponge most of it off. And then with just that little bit of ink left, that's when I go and hit the clouds with it. Now this is the first time I've used one of these little sponge daubers. They're from scrapbook.com, and I'm thinking they're not meant to be used on the edge of a die cut because my poor little dauber just got all kinds of chewed up. You can see here I got too much ink on and I'm trying to get it off as much as I can before I go back to that cloud. But you'll see here I add a little bit of this to the edges of the ocean mist, the sky die card a little bit, and that's when I really tear up this sponge dauber. You'll start to see little chunks of it floating around on my card panel. There's some of them right there, and just not exactly sure. I'll have to try this on just a stencil and see if it just kind of falls apart like this one did, but did not get much mileage out of this. They're super cheap, which is good, but still like to see them last a little bit longer than that. Anyway, got the job done. I just wanted a little bit of color on the edge of this panel just to get it. There we are. What is going on with that sponge dauber? But just want a little bit of color on the edge of this panel just to keep it from looking too flat. So I'm going to start laying everything down again. Oh, I took a regular mini blending tool just to help ease up some of that blending. So I guess that mini dauber didn't really get the job done. A little better, not too worried about making it super smooth. Now I'm going to layer these together and start to get them adhered. So I know that these two, I liked the alignment of these two pieces together. That's my starting, my jumping off point. And then I'll get those other waves positioned behind. So what I do is I kind of position them how I want. And I'm going to throw a little bit of low tack tape over the top of these, and then I'll flip it over and kind of use that tape as a hinge to, you'll see it in just a minute. Just kind of orienting myself. Is that how I want it? Is that good? Yeah, I think we're good. Let's go with that piece of tape now. There we go. So a little bit of hinge space where I can, don't need a lot of this liquid glue. Oh my goodness, just enough to get this tack down. On the second panel and the third panel all glued together. Being careful because I've ripped those off fast and ruined die cuts. So before I get it on there, I'm trimming off the bottom with my Tim Holtz trimmer here. This is a fantastic small trimmer. Do have to use a little bit of force to cut through all those pieces of cardstock, but works wonders. All right, now I'm going to get the sky right adhered right onto the card panel, and then I'll get the ocean and the beach glued down right on top of that. And then at that point, it's time to pull out all the little die cuts that are adorable and start playing with their placement, seeing where they want to live on this little card. So we've got everything placed. Going to use some of this Gina K Connect glue to get everything glued down piece at a time. Put this little mouse's flower in her hair. And then get her glued down. Then we'll get her little seashell put back in her little paw. Is it paw? Do mice have paws? And there we go. We've got everything on there. Everybody's happy. I have a bunch of extra die cuts that I can use for a later card or later cards. There's quite a few of them. And there we are. Just some simple coloring. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you soon.